Right, okay. So, welcome to episode 7 of the Canny Talk podcast. Welcome back, Katie, because you weren't in last week's.
Because you're trying to.
I had Lewis on. And we're going to have a special guest next week as well, and we're going to try and do it so that it's fortnightly, so that it's me and Katie one week, and then guest, and then guest, and then whatever. And then, you and me, and then guest and fortnight. Anyway, this week, because we like to talk about movies and such, we're going to talk about the movies that we hate the most. Because we did a podcast before the Lewis one where we talked about the most rewatchable movies.
Yeah.
Basically, and some of the better movies that have been made. So this week we're going to keep it in the Christmas spirit and talk about movies that we hate. So, what movies do you hate?
Movies that I hate.
Also, this is Katie, I'm sure. Just in case the intros don't tell you our actual name, the thing.
Movies that I hate. Do you remember when we went to go see that? What was it called? Noah in the cinemas.
Oh yeah,
like Janice and everyone was like, "Oh, this is gonna be such a good movie," and they dragged us to see it.
It's got Russell Crowe in it.
Russell Crowe, Emma Thompson, Douglas Booth. I'm sure it has other people in that. I can't remember, but it has
a good cast.
Yeah, a pretty decent cast, and it was just awful.
Yeah.
It was like a 2-hour plus movie, as well. I sat there going, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure an entire hour of it is dedicated to just Russell Crowe lying naked on a beach.
Yeah. Well, because I never understood what they were trying to do. It was like I was sure it was meant to be more modern.
Yeah, it was meant to be a modern take, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because it was like a post-apocalyptic world or something.
No, it was the actual story of Noah's Ark.
I know, but there was no people. There was only them, their family, and that was it. You never really saw any other people. Emma Thompson obviously kind of came into it but you don't know, like, you never saw any other people. I always found that confusing. And it always kind of just looked, to me, I thought it was supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic. Anyway,
Your first one is Noah.
Yeah. It's just one of those movies that I've always, whenever someone says worst movie, I always just think, God, that was a god awful movie.
I'm trying to think of movies that I hate. I'll tell you a movie that I hate, and we're going to bring the mood really down here because there's not many jokes that I can make about this film. It's a film called Irreversible. Right. Now, I know you haven't seen this film. Quite frankly, I don't think anyone in our family's seen it because it's awful.
It doesn't sound very
Watch Mojo did a video, because I love Watch Mojo. The videos are amazing. Hit us up. What was I saying? And they did a list where it was the most movies you something like movies that you can't watch more than once. So you can't, like, you don't want to watch them more than once.
Yeah, you watch it and that's it.
And Irreversible was like 4th, I think, or something like that. And I was kind of like, well, okay, these are obviously just being wimps here. So I watched all of the movies that they put on, and some of them are like, they're not movies that I wouldn't say, okay, I'm never going to watch that again. But the only one on the list where I was like, I am never ever going to watch that again is Irreversible, because it was horrible. And it's not like the concept of it is basic enough, right? And it's actually quite interesting. So it's reverse chronological, so all the events take place backward in time.
Okay.
But spoiler alert, if you want to go watch this horrible film that I'm about to describe to you, the basic plot, if it was going in chronological order, the basic plot is a lass gets raped, and her, I guess you could say, boyfriend goes out and sort of gets vengeance for her, but kills the wrong person, and that's the entire plot. That's literally the plot. So it starts off with him killing this guy, and he kills him in a very graphic way. He squashes his head with a fire extinguisher. And then it turns out that he's the wrong bloke, which is like, lol, I guess. But then honestly the worst bit, and I sat and I can't believe it, because I was sitting there, and it's one of them things where you almost go, right, I should definitely fast forward it, but then you kind of go, oh well, it'll be finished soon, but it's not, and it's the actual rape scene. So I don't agree with.
What does it show you?
Yeah, I don't agree with rape scenes at all in films. I don't think they're necessary. But normally with either sex scenes or rape scenes, is that it's done over 4 or 5 takes, so it becomes more like a compilation, and it's not awkward for the actors.
Yeah.
This is just a 10-minute straight take, no cuts. It's just, the entire thing is just acted out, and it's awful to watch. And then not only that, but after he does it, he sort of beats her almost to death, and it's just awful watching, and I hate watching it. If there was one film where I would say to people, don't watch it, that would be the film that I would say don't watch it, because it's, I don't like it. I really don't like that film.
It's that I don't understand that concept though of going backwards, like reverse chronological order.
I think it's meant to play with your empathy, isn't it? You're supposed to sort of, emote things, and then for it to go, okay, well, you shouldn't really be emoting with him, you should actually be emoting with the guy that killed him because he was getting revenge for the last that, But then that would make sense. But the fact that he kills the wrong bloke, you kind of go, well,
what was the point?
Yeah. So who am I supposed to empathise with?
Because it never got resolved then, did it? Did the guy not get caught or anything?
I don't think so. It was a while ago when I watched it, so I couldn't tell you the if you could. But it's like...
Usually, that is something that's done in movies. You do see it, but it's not in that sense. It's usually like a flashback or
Yeah.
You start... Yeah, like it's not...
You start off feeling for someone.
The entire movie, yeah.
But then it tells you why you actually shouldn't.
One that comes to mind is like, do you know Underworld?
Yeah.
Because you start... Spoiler alert. You think...
You empathise with Lucian, yeah.
Yeah, but then you think the bad guys are the... Lycans are called, aren't they? And then the end of the movie does a flashback and you find out actually they're the good guys.
Yeah, you can understand
and
why.
You understand why they're doing what they're doing, and that's...
I wouldn't necessarily say they're the good guys, but it's like... You understand why they're doing what they're doing,
yeah.
So, Chad, what movies do you hate?
Movies do I hate? That's quite a hard question because, like, I can't really... Do you know what movie I really didn't like was... I don't know, you haven't seen it. Pride, Prejudice and Zombies. Because I really like the Pride and Prejudice film with Keira Knightley, and I like the series. And that was just so daft to me, that movie, why they had to include the zombies. If they just did a more modern version with Lily James, I would have been like, oh yeah, fair enough, whatever. It's been done a million times, but sure, why not? I just didn't understand.
Who was it that played Mr. Darcy in the original, the more modern one? Was it Richard Armitage? Lee Pace? Was it Lee Pace?
No.
Someone from Lord of the Rings, wasn't it?
No. The one with the zombies one.
No, the one with Keira Knightley.
No, because you always get them mixed up, and it's not. It's
I
not
always
any
get
of them.
I always get all of the Lord of the Rings people mixed up.
Any of them.
Not the Lord of the Rings. It's the Hobbit.
What else has he been in? He was in something that we've watched recently.
I'm sure it's. He was in. Is it him that was in the Three Musketeers?
Yes, it was him.
Right,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Not Richard Armitage. You get
the one that was in Robin Hood as well. He was the sheriff in Robin Hood, wasn't he? The one with Russell Crowe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Might be, yeah.
Because he was the guy that was...
He's usually in, like, period stuff.
It was Athos in The Three Musketeers, so if it was him, then he's also in Robin Hood.
I think so, yeah. Anyway, I just didn't... It's not that I hated it, it annoyed me, because I am a really big fan of the Pride and Prejudice story, and, like, I read the book when I was at school, so I was a really big fan of it, and I just didn't understand why... When you think of something like Pride and Prejudice, do zombies come to mind?
I don't think about Pride and Prejudice.
No, but if you... Right, think of Pride and Prejudice. Think of the whole... Like, when it was written, the whole story of it. Would zombies come to mind?
Probably not.
It just doesn't make sense. And to be fair, Lily James was really great in it. The guy...
Lily James?
Lily James.
Who's he?
Lily James.
Lily James?
Lily James.
Oh, I thought you said Lee James.
No, Lily James. She's really good in it, to be fair. She's a really good... she's really good, Elizabeth Bennet. And then you have the guy, I don't know what his name is, played Mr. Darcy. He was in Maleficent. I don't know his name.
Oh, the guy from the A-Team.
I don't know if he was in the A-Team. I don't know. Either way, I just didn't... I wouldn't say I hated it, it was more annoying more than anything. It was unnecessary, I feel like. But...
We should get the obvious ones out of the way. Definitely get the obvious ones out of the way.
Okay.
Suicide Squad we hate. Batman vs Superman we hate. Batman and Robin we hate.
Yes. Ooh.
What other one in DC
I
is
really
there?
didn't like that.
What other one in DC? The Justice League we hate. Well, I didn't hate the Justice League, that's a lie. I didn't hate the Justice League. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. But...
Again though, that was more annoying more than hate.
Yeah. And it's the same with the other ones. It's a bigger extent with those ones, but
I feel like we should because the general concepts. So like, Batman versus Superman. That should not have been bad.
Nope.
They had, you know, like the perfect dream Superman, who in Henry Cavill, who is an incredible actor. They had Ben Affleck, who could have very well been one of the best Batman.
We love you too.
Best Batman. They had Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Love you too.
You know, Wonder Woman was like is the best DC movie that they've done so far. So of course that was going to be great.
Yep.
It was just
executed poorly.
They should have done a Batman movie prior, explaining why Ben Affleck's Batman is the way he is.
Yeah.
I know you're going to say it, Batman doesn't kill. I know you're going to get to that. Batman does not kill people.
I forgot about that.
He doesn't kill people.
I totally forgot about that.
You did, yeah?
Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, yeah. Batman doesn't kill.
Ages me 10 years every time I think about that.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me. There's another 10 years gone.
Sorry. Yeah, that was annoying. But it started off quite good though. I really liked the take.
Did you?
The kind of the link with Man vs Steel.
Man of Steel, not Man versus Steel.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. Man of Steel.
Man versus Steel.
Honestly, 10 hours.
Steel bites back.
I don't know why I said that. Anyway, yeah, Man of Steel. That's like Batman's motivation.
Yeah.
But Doomsday. Why would they have Doomsday in like, what was it, the third movie?
The second movie.
Was it the second movie?
Man of Steel and Batman.
Ben Affleck's Batman should have had an origin. Well, not so much an origin story, but his own movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thing with Batman vs Superman is good concept, far too early, in more than one sense, because Superman shouldn't be dying in his second movie. Also, Doomsday is too big of a villain to be doing in the second movie. Like you said, it was a good start. To most Batman fans, they probably knew. Well, when they saw the way, especially the brand on the guy, they were probably like, "Okay, so this is the Dark Knight Returns Batman. This is the older Batman."
But for the casual fans,
they needed that first movie. And the thing is, with Batman vs Superman, that story lends itself well to being a Zack Snyder style film.
It's darker.
Yeah, I don't often say that about Zack Schneider, but
you don't like Zack Schneider, we all know.
It blends itself well to be a Zack Schneider film, because you've got the dark character in the DC universe targeting the probably the only pure good thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that makes sense for a Zack Snyder style film. Things like the Justice League doesn't, because there's only one sort of dark character in the Justice League.
And it's Batman.
And it's Batman.
Not necessarily dark, he's just kind of brooding, isn't he, in the back?
Yeah.
He's kind of...
And it's like, yeah. So there was that thing there that it was supposedly draught with producer interference.
They wanted Doomsday, apparently, didn't they?
Yeah.
And as well, Wonder Woman, I don't really understand what she brought to that movie, I'll be honest. Gal Gadot's amazing. I think she's amazing as Wonder Woman. But in terms of... Other than setting up for the Wonder Woman movie, I don't understand what her purpose in the movie was. Because she didn't do anything with Doomsday. She kind of fought Doomsday for literally 5 seconds.
She held him for
Superman
to fly at him when he killed him. He did kill him, but
you know what I mean, though? She did very little in terms of her inclusion. It was...
The other thing that I hate about that was she had a good entrance. She arrives and you're like, oh my god, she's going to fight.
She's going to
and
kick
then
all kinds of backside.
The start of that fight starts with Superman flying in and hitting him, and it's like, no, let Wonder Woman fight him for 5 minutes.
Because the whole point... Because, I mean, you showed us the animated version, and you explained it, and it does make sense, the fact that Wonder Woman should be the first one to fight Doomsday, because if Wonder Woman of all people can't beat him, then it's like, okay, Superman. So you need to be there.
So there's one thing that DC beats Marvel in, and it's the animated universe, because DC animated films are absolutely amazing. And with Doomsday, and with the Justice League in general, obviously the Avengers are more suited to being like a unit, whereas the Justice League is like a tier system. So it's like, and that's how I like rank villains. You kind of go, right, okay, so that villain should not be getting even past Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Superman is the top tier. One. If Superman is needed, like really needed, then it's a dangerous threat.
Yeah.
And the reason the animated one does well is because it starts off by showing you the Justice League against Doomsday. All of them lose.
Yeah.
Then, although Wonder Woman's a part of that, she then goes, right, okay, I'm going to go and kick this thing's backside by myself now. And then she goes and she fights it by herself, and she puts up a good fight. She does, she does some damage, but then ultimately, because Doomsday just gets
stronger and
he becomes impervious to what killed him previous, she literally can't do anything else against him. And then that's when Superman arrives, and it's like, okay, now this is when I need to handle this now, because this is getting far too big for even one. It's not like a, Wonder Woman can't handle him. It's like this is big even for you. This is too big.
Which I feel like is really important for Wonder Woman's character. She shouldn't be. It's not a kind of. It shouldn't be a fact of she's not as good as Superman. It should be a fact of, good God, Wonder Woman of all people cannot beat him. And
that's what Gal Gadot could do. That, I think.
Oh, definitely.
I think if they'd done the Doomsday storyline right in the DCU, it would have been amazing.
Even if it was just a little snippet. If it was just Lex Luthor, when he's in that bit where it's like he's in that
the big ovary.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think that he gives birth to it in.
If it was just like a little snippet, or he just said something it would have been better than actually having Doomsday in it.
Yeah.
Because Lex Luthor in himself is such a good character. Because he's just a man that's really, really smart, and it's just.
He's like Tony Stark, but bad, isn't he?
Yeah. And
that's what he is in most iterations of the DC universe, as well as he builds all these mechs that he can fight Superman with.
And to be fair, I saw it's like his reasoning for not liking Superman is quite
logical.
The idea of
we're relying
too much on him. If we keep on doing that, we as a race will go extinct when he eventually leaves or dies.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to toughen up the world. And fair enough, he's doing it in bad ways, but it makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah.
And it's quite clever.
You feel sorry for Jesse Eisenberg because the writing wasn't all that great.
I feel like he could have been a really good Lex Luthor.
He could have been a good Lex Luthor.
He has that kind of look about him.
It wouldn't have been my first pick. Because my first pick would have been Bryan Cranston. But, yeah, I think
in that movie there were moments where I was like, oh, I could see it actually. I could see him.
It was different because Gene Hackman and even Kevin Spacey's version were like very masculine, they were just men basically, but then his was almost quite camp and feminine. Not feminine, but he was like camp, It
was like he was almost. I get what you mean. At times, it kind of made it seem like he was almost in love with Superman. Do you not feel like?
Yeah, and it was like, that's what I like. I thought that was a really original take, and it was really cool. But then it just kind of the bad writing got a hold of it, and especially in I would say the later hour of the movie, there's a lot of it that just I didn't like.
I feel like there's too much build up. Batman versus Superman, the whole point in the movie is this massive fight. Everyone's like, oh my god, but there's no way Batman can win. Then he comes out and he's actually like, fair enough, I haven't got the muscle like Superman does, but I have the brains.
Yep.
And like, I feel like we needed to see more of that. Yep. We needed to see more of Batman's brains, how smart he is, how he could it's not so much about like just standing there fighting him. It's more about, okay, what can I do with my surroundings to help me beat him? And we didn't see any of that. The
thing is, as well, that's really the only thing that I will say about that film that it did well is that it showed you once Superman was humanized, he didn't stand a chance against Batman because Batman is trained. He's the best at hand-to-hand combat. Superman has never needed to be good at hand-to-hand combat because he's Superman. No one can ever go hand-to-hand with him. So it's like you see him when he's trying to hit him, and Batman's just out fighting him, and it's like that was good, but it was in a 5-minute fight scene in a 2.5-hour movie called Batman versus Superman. The whole Martha Gate thing happened, and it was just bleh. Yeah, but the thing about that one, and we're going to move on because we've been talking about this for 10 minutes now, is that it had 3 or 4 different storylines in it, like taken straight out of the comics. Yeah, and it was just too much.
For one movie, you
had your Dark Knight Rises, you had your Batman vs Superman, and you also had your Dark Knight Returns, not Dark Knight Rises. You had your Batman vs Superman, you had your Doomsday, and then you also had Wonder Woman coming in, and it was kind of like
it was too much for the audience.
That's just far too much. Yeah, Batman vs Superman and Doomsday should have their own movies.
Doomsday should have been like a Thanos kind of thing.
Yeah,
where it should have been like a massive build-up. Doomsday is coming. Oh my god, we should have had way more Superman movies or had more Superman appearances to the point where we actually cared about him dying.
I was going to say you've got. I mean, like, his death was touching and it was sad in its own way because
it's Superman. But again, though, for the casual fans, was it all that upsetting?
No, it's
Because
like
they hadn't really had time to
yeah.
get to know Superman properly.
That should have been, and part of it as well was the fact that they made Lois Lane know who Superman was, which shouldn't happen.
Lois, they did Lois Lane so dirty. I'm sorry they did. She's such a good character and deserves so much better than what she gets. She's there like drowning. I'm like, get a hell to yourself. Come on.
It's that classic millennial. No, it's the classic millennial way of thinking where people go, well, how do people not know that Clark Kent is Superman? And it's like, that's the point. He's the bumbling fool when he's Clark Kent, and everyone. He's that person who blends in. You don't notice him. All right, fair enough. He's Henry Cavill, so he's gorgeous, but he blends in.
Just saying, there's only one man that has that physique,
and that
it's Henry Cavill.
Jawline. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that's the point. It's not like he takes the glasses off and slicks his hair and he becomes a different person. It's like
he's good at hiding. Yeah.
So it's like, and for that reason, I just think they went right. Okay, let's just make Lois Lane figure out who he is. And
as well, though, I guess it's that thing of the eye sees what it wants to see.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people wouldn't expect someone like Clark Kent to be Superman because of the kind of person he appears to be.
Yeah.
So.
And that sort of revelation that she gets when she figures out that.
When she figures it out.
All this time.
She figures it out.
Yeah.
She doesn't just tell her. Yeah.
It's good, and that's another thing that the animated film did well. It was like it waited until that movie for him to tell her that he was Superman. Yeah. And he also tells her that he loves her, and like that's them sort of.
But that's also
the movie when he dies, and it's like.
It's a bittersweet.
You get that nice moment, but then it's taken away from you.
It also shows you like how the world reacts to it, where it didn't really do it in Batman vs Superman. I know it did it in Justice League with the statue, but
and the silly sort of this is not my mouth fake iPhone video.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Superman deserves better. Henry Cavill deserves better. The writing was just poor in that aspect.
Yeah,
it could have been so good.
Yeah, because the Doomsday storyline, for what it is such a basic story, but it's the best story because, well, not the best, but it's one of the best because it makes Superman more relatable.
But he can die.
Yeah,
the Man of Steel isn't.
Yeah, he isn't invincible.
Yeah,
and it's like and it's that thing where you've got that good thing, and as soon as it's taken away, everyone's sad, and it's like that reaction in the animated film where it shows you all around the world, everyone's seeing is sort of mangled body being held by Lois Lane, and that classic picture where it's his cape sort of ripped. And it's
even Batman kind of that hardened kind of.
I love that, honestly.
Exterior, and even he is upset.
I can't recommend that film good enough more to people, right? Because it gets almost every single character right. Everyone's upset about it. Like, everyone's upset, but the person who isn't upset, he's angry, it's Batman. And you see him because it shows you his fist clenching, and then he eventually just kind of goes, and he relaxes it, and it's almost like that's the hope going out of Batman as well, which is like oh no, not Batman. And then when everyone's at the funeral, Batman isn't. And you just see sort of Alfred and his son Damien sort of standing there behind him kind of going, oh God, this vengeance is going to be something. And you're kind of like, that's so cool. That's the way to do it. Everyone should be devastated when Superman dies, and then he should stay dead for 3 or 4 movies, not come back in the next flipping movie. Anyway, let's talk about a different one.
Well, should we talk about Suicide Squad? Because you mentioned that one.
Let's talk about Suicide Squad.
And because I feel like again we can talk a lot about that.
Also, just a quick, because I don't know if we covered this. Batman doesn't kill people. Anyway, Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Too soon again, for me. Just far too soon.
What I didn't like from the get-go, because I kind of had hopes it would be a good movie. It kind of started off in a way that I kind of thought, it has potential. We should not feel bad and or root for the likes of Harley Quinn, the likes of Deadshot, they are bad guys, first and foremost. We should not want them to, succeed. And obviously they're doing a good thing for the world, but they're still bad guys.
Yeah.
I felt like that movie didn't do that. I felt like that whole thing, with Deadshot and his daughter,
It was trying to present them as almost as heroes, wasn't it?
Yeah, as heroes in like a bad way, or like they come from like a bad place.
Yeah.
That's not who they are.
And because we start off with Batman and Superman, it's a good link because you're doing a Suicide Squad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the villains in that movie are Batman villains.
Yeah.
And we still haven't had a Batman film. And it's like he has a 5-minute cameo, and it's when
you see him in a suit, and then you see him at the end, don't you? That's the only two
and
times
it's like, I can't believe all things you decided to do. I mean, I get they're trying to be nation, going, here's the villains.
A different route, yeah.
Instead of going, here's the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked with Joker.
Yeah.
Because that was a Joker movie, not a Batman movie. Just like it also worked with Infinity War, which is more of a Thanos movie than a Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to have a Batman film before you have a...
Again, it's that thing that I said about Batman vs Superman, where the casual fans would have had no idea who any of those guys were, except for probably Harley Quinn. Because,
and the Joker.
And the Joker. Because, and they probably didn't know what was going on, why they would want these villains trying to save the world. It's...
Let's go save the world.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't... They didn't really do any explaining to it. They kind of just released it and was like, here's a different kind of movie that would think people would like. And it not really tying into any kind of story other than Batman, which again we still hadn't seen.
Yeah.
So
just keep talking.
It was
yeah.
It was kind of weird.
They were trying to make you go, okay, so you should be rooting for these people, when in reality you shouldn't be rooting for these people because they're not, not nice people.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of, and I know you've said it, is that it became a Will Smith movie.
Yeah, it definitely. And people don't know what I mean by that. Whenever I say it became a Will Smith movie, basically since the end of Bad Boys 2, or maybe Men in Black 2, I don't know which one came out first. Almost all of Will Smith's movies are essentially the same. His characters are essentially the same. There's the odd movie in between that aren't like that, where he plays actual really good characters, like The Pursuit of Happiness is an amazing film. And he was good in Aladdin. It's just a shame the rest of that film wasn't as good.
When did Legend come out? That was a good... I felt like he was good in that. I'm Legend, yeah.
2006, I think.
Because Legend's the Tom Hardy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another one,
that was a good movie.
But that was still a slightly Will Smith character, like a Will Smith movie, because he was kooky and he was, silly and stuff, and it was like, okay, but you can understand that because he's on his own and he's only got his dog and some mannequins to talk to. But that one line that he said in the trailer where he went, "Let's go save the world," I was like, okay, it's just a Will Smith movie. It's a movie literally with the word suicide in it, and yet he's being kooky and sort of, lol, and it shouldn't be like that with the Suicide Squad.
The whole point of the Suicide Squad is that we realistically should not care if they live or die. The whole reason why they're called Suicide Squad is because it's like, okay, we don't want to potentially lose our heroes, let's just send in these guys that we don't care about to go hopefully do it. If not, then I guess we'll send in the big guns. But if one of them were to, die at some point, who cares? Yeah. Who cares? And it's, I feel like it didn't do that at all. It almost made you feel bad for them.
So it's the other thing with this one as well, same as Batman vs Superman, it was supposedly wrought with producer interference.
Yeah.
They definitely wanted the Joker in it.
Yeah.
Despite him not being a part of the Suicide Squad. Which is why all of his scenes seem to take place away from all the rest of the cast.
Yeah, because it was...
They only seem to be filmed after the film was finished. And it's like, okay, so we could tell things like that.
Yeah.
And there's the eye cut thing now. People are crying for the eye cut to come out.
Well, because apparently it was supposed to be a lot darker.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would mean that the story was better or what, but at least we're getting the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which I think
it's probably going
to be better, yeah.
I'm more excited about that film than I was when David Ayer's version came out.
Yeah.
And again, this is another one of them things where I'm going to seem like a know-it-all, because when that trailer first hit, a lot of people said it looked good, and I straight away said, that's going to be terrible. and people were still holding on even after it came out, saying that it was good and good and good, and people are still doing it now, quite frankly, that I see online saying it wasn't as bad as everyone makes out. It really was. It's not a very good film.
Yeah, and I mean that's just about the general story. We haven't even touched on the likes of Jared Leto as Joker, which, I mean, I'm sorry, but
again, I think it's worth saying that we are slightly hopeful that in Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to be somewhat different.
We did talk about that, didn't we? That
yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't have all the get tattoos and isn't very gangstery and isn't. If the movie itself is going to be darker, I feel like he's going to be a darker Joker and therefore should be a better Joker. I feel like there's not really. He can only go up, can't he, from Suicide Squad? Let's be real.
He wasn't a very good Joker, and despite what people say, he wasn't a very good Joker.
I feel like. Because, I mean, he was trying to be different, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
That's the thing, in some ways, you can either go down the route of having a Joker who's so mystifying that it's almost like we can't understand him, which is what Heath Ledger's was. It's like, we can sort of understand, but there's no way any normal person can relate to you.
It was the mystery, wasn't it? Because we didn't really know who the Joker was.
He didn't have another identity, did he? He was only the Joker. Whereas you could go down the other route, which is the empathetic... empathetic route, where you can understand why Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was the way he is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you've been as downtrodden as he is in that movie, and sort of you've grown up with lies and just people throwing dirt in your eye, and the higher class has been treated like lovely people, you can understand why someone would snap. And it was good that they'd set it in that time period, because that's what that was like back then. Not that I know, because I wasn't alive in the 80s.
Yeah, but you can,
but
makes sense.
when you look back, you do sort of see things like that, and it's kind of, that was why that version of the Joker worked. I don't think they knew what kind of Joker they wanted in that movie. I think it was just kind of, let's be completely different to everyone else, we'll just make him a gangster. It's like, ugh.
I think the common thing that I saw after, you know, Suicide Squad came out was a lot of like teenage girls getting on about how like great it was, and I'm like, okay, so is that why they did it? Because they want to target a different audience?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the case, I don't know. You know, those people, those daft people that are like, I want someone to love me the way Joker loves Harley Quinn, like.
Do your research, because we've talked about it enough. Yeah,
it's just.
Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something that's not DC related. Let's talk about The Hobbit, because we've talked about Lord of the Rings in almost every single podcast that we've done so far.
As we should.
But we're not going to talk about the Lord of the Rings in this podcast, because the Lord of the Rings could never be hated by anyone. If you do hate Lord of the Rings, then you need to have your head kicked by a football player.
What? Good God.
Oh, I don't know why I said that. Anyway, The Hobbit. The thing that I hate about The Hobbit, right, is that people still compare them to The Lord of the Rings, because obviously they're in the same universe.
Yeah.
They're not comparable to me. I don't think even the best movie out of the Hobbit trilogy, which I think personally is the second one.
Do you think?
Yeah, because it had Smaug in it.
Fair enough.
I don't think it even comes close to the worst of the Lord of the Rings movies, which is the second one, in my opinion.
The worst?
Well, when I say worst, that's like relative. The least amazing out of all of them. The second one.
The second one's like one of the best ones?
No.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So the first,
it has like the best battle scene ever?
It's easily got the best battle scene, but you've got to remember the entire movie, it's the longest of the three movies, the entire movie is building up to that one moment. Whereas you get the first one, which is beautiful, and I love every bit, and that's because that essentially introduced me to the Lord of the Rings, and I've always been in love with the first film. And the third movie has just got everything in it, it's just beautiful. It's got battles, it's got...
To be fair, I don't like you using the word least and hate with Lord of the Rings.
No, I never said hate. I just said it's the least amazing out of the three. It's still amazing. It's just the least amazing. But yeah, so I don't even think that you can even closely compare the Desolation of Smaug to the Two Towers. Two Towers is still years ahead of Smaug.
Yeah.
Because we've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I think in 50 years' time, the movies will still be as good as they were when they first came out. I think I'll be in my 300s and still love that moment where Aragorn fights all the Uruks by himself.
I think as well, the thing that I didn't like, even though I don't think the movies, you really don't like the movies. I don't think they're that bad. I mean, I don't think they're the most amazing movies. I definitely don't think they were as good as Lord of the Rings. I don't think they were that bad though, but the CGI was really bad. It was really, really bad in The Hobbit. When you compare it to Lord of the Rings, where that used as little CGI as they could, it just didn't look. To me, the Hobbit looks like it came before Lord of the Rings in terms of CGI.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
it
weird
took away
because
from the movie.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Hobbit is it looks like it used 2002 CGI, whereas the Lord of the Rings looks like it used CGI from these days.
Yeah,
and it's kind of scary that that's the case, considering that Lord of the Rings is nearly 20 years old.
When you think
now.
about Lord of the Rings though, like obviously the orcs, it was makeup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was there any orcs that actually had any CGI on them?
The Oliphants.
Well, yeah, the stuff like the Oliphants and like some of the backgrounds and stuff were CGI, but in
most of the orcs weren't. Most of that was prosthetics.
In the Hobbit, sorry.
Pretty much every single one is CGI.
The goblins, the orcs, yeah, it was all CGI.
Even half the hobbits were CGI'd, and it's kind of like.
Were they?
Yeah. Well, they're not that big in real life, are they?
I thought they was used fat suits.
Oh.
I thought they did.
No, I'm not on about the girth. I'm on about the size of them.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And this is another thing I hate. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about this as well. Ridiculous. It's a bit ridiculous. So do you remember that? Do you remember that bit in the Lord of the Rings when they go to Moria and they've been it's clear that the dwarves who lived in Moria have been overrun by goblins.
Yeah.
Why didn't they have the dwarven machine guns? Remember the dwarven machine gun?
There's a dwarven machine gun.
There's a dwarven machine gun that they use.
On the last one.
Yeah.
It's not machine gun, is
It's
it?
essentially a machine gun.
It's
They sit on it and go like that, and loads of
things.
things fire out. It's basically an artillery gun, isn't it?
Isn't that not an actual thing that existed though?
I don't think so.
In time, I'm sure it must have been.
I don't think so. I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But it's to me, it's a machine gun, right? And I get it that the dwarves are meant to be like craftsmen, and they can come up with all these incredible things and all this stuff and all this really cool gizmos that they come up with.
Yeah.
And magical doors and whatever. But it's like.
Just gonna say,
That's just too far. It's too far having a machine gun, for goodness sake. Even the big sort of spikes that flew and the things whipped that destroyed all the arrows, even things like that. That's ridiculous. I don't know if that was a thing either, if that was a medieval tool, but it was.
I don't think so. No.
That's just too ridiculous.
Yeah.
Go back to having a battle where one man fights off so many Uruks just through the power of focus. Do you know what I mean? Let's say be more of that and be less machine guns, because it's not Call of Duty.
I think the thing as well though with that is, it was like, it seemed like Peter Jackson was just trying to recreate the magic of the Lord of the Rings, instead of taking the Hobbit and going, okay, let's just make some really good movies. It's like, okay, we need Legolas in, we need a love triangle for some reason, you know, we need this and that and this and that. It's like,
I hate that love triangle bit. I hated it. That's another bit. That's another bit that I hate, that I've only just recently realised I hate. You know when, what's he called, the one that she fancies, Killy, off one of the names that rhyme, and the guy stabs him. You know what? If I had a gigantic spike in my chest, I wouldn't just sit there going. I'd be there going. I've got a spike in my chest. And she just lies there and goes, oh. You'd be like, oh, you got a spike in your chest. Oh. The only one.
And then she
She
becomes,
just pulls them off.
and then she becomes very Gen Z-ish and like just pushes herself off a cliff.
The only one that seems to react normally to that is the orc, and even he's kind of like, oh god. Ugh.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other brother dies kind of
Because
more
nobody,
realistic.
yeah, because nobody loves him.
Oh my god, that's so mean. No, because he dies and he goes, oh, and then it like chucks him
And he just drops him.
kind of, like, you know, he just
Yes, I'm done with this now. Then
he just kind of discards him
like a
piece of
tissue. Yeah. Blow your nose with him and then throw him away.
rubbish. No.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask though. Yeah, I hate that bit especially. The more I've thought about it, the more I've realised how much I hate it. Because it's literally, if it just went, okay, he's been stabbed, there's one look back, that's it. It goes on for almost a minute, where he's just going, spike chest, and he doesn't seem to care. It's like, there is a giant gaping hole where there shouldn't be, and he doesn't care. It's like, and I mean, I know before you all start saying to me, oh, it's because he loves her and he's just happy to see her again. I love my dog, but if I had a chest in my if I had
you had a chest in your chest.
if I had a chest, if I had a spike in my chest, I wouldn't be looking at my dog going, remember me. I would be like, Alfie, I don't mean to be, you know, like thingy here, but you've kind of failed because you could have. You know, he could have helped us out here.
Yeah.
Not that Alfie could have helped us out against that troll, because, you know, he's a midget, but...
Yeah, his ankles would be in pieces if Alfie
yeah, it's just that thing. I don't understand why whoever... Peter Jackson, why did he think that was a good idea? Let's have a full minute where they're just standing there going... and she's like, oh! Because she does. He stabs him and she just goes, oh! As if she's the one getting stabbed. You'd be like, if that was me getting stabbed, you'd be going, what are you whinging about? You've been bashed on the head a little bit. I've got a hole in my chest. Do you know what I mean? God, I hate that.
I think we gathered that, Shaun.
Honestly, that's such a stupid moment in that film.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah, but what I would say in a less aggressive tone is that what that movie should have been was, well, pardon me, what those 3 movies should have been was either 1 or 2 movies that was just showing us more of the extended Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. As in going, okay, so this is more of the world. Oh dear, I think I've got contagious burps.
What?
You know when you get burps that they just don't stop?
No.
Like hiccup burps.
No, I don't know what that is actually.
you do. It's them burps where you just keep burping and you're like, I didn't think there was this much gas in my body.
No.
You know when you get worried that there's that much gas in you, they're just going to start floating. Anyway, what there should have been 1 or 2 movies that introduced us so that the studios that produced them, I think it's New Line Cinema that does it, basically could go, okay, so there is a clamouring for more Lord of the Rings. Let's create the Silmarillion or the Children of Húrin or whatever. Let's create more, and then you can make 30 movies in those things, you know. And that was the way to do it. And it looks like they're going to do it anyway because they're making the series.
Yeah. Took a while though. They announced it ages ago, didn't they?
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure when The Hobbit came out, there was talks of the Silmarillion becoming a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure, because remember we were talking about it as we were watching The Hobbit one day.
That's going to be weird as well. Can you imagine making a Silmarillion movie?
Is it not going to be a series?
No.
I thought it was going to be a series.
No, the Silmarillion isn't going to be the series.
What's the series?
It's the First Age.
Well, that's kind of going to tie in, isn't it?
It's technically part of the Silmarillion, but it's not like...
The Silmarillion movie's just going to be that, yeah.
It'll probably be something like The Fall of Numenor. Which would be cool. I'm
just excited to be more Lord of the Rings because it is such a amazing universe when you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of it that has not yet been explored. But yeah, let's talk about something else that we hate. What other movies do we hate?
What other movies do we hate?
Dare I say the Star Wars sequel trilogy?
We've just offended a lot of people. Okay. The second movie I hate. The third movie I dislike.
Yep.
The first movie, while I didn't think it was all that original, was better than the other two.
Yep.
And it's crazy because I was on Twitter, of all places, Twitter, and there were people that were like, the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, the best Star Wars movies ever, and you know, like the only thing like that trilogy down was The Force Awakens. I'm like, what are you taking?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
What are you on? Are you okay? I mean, I guess there's a Twitter, and I know Twitter's Twitter, isn't it? You can always get those people that are just like, he's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, I think, being the premier Star Wars know-it-all that I am, what I would say is that you're essentially right. So, Force Awakens wasn't original, but it was a lot better considering what came after it.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi was terrible, not very good, not very original. Killed off two of the best characters that Star Wars has ever done, i.e. Luke and Leia. Third one...
Leia didn't die in the second one.
Huh?
Leia didn't die in the second one.
No, I meant metaphorically. The characters weren't very good. And one thing that should be said, and a lot of people need to stop doing, is blaming Rian Johnson for J.J. Abrams, because The Rise of Skywalker was not Rian Johnson's fault. Yes, the movie didn't lead in very well, but he still could have made a half decent movie. You didn't have to insult George Lucas's trilogy, George Lucas's saga, by bringing the likes of Palpatine back with the third movie. There's so much about that movie that's wrong.
I just didn't understand why J.J. Abrams didn't just do the 3 of the movies. I said this to you after the first movie came out. Why isn't J.J. Abrams... Why didn't he just do all the movies?
Well, it's weird, and we've talked about it in the past where people are now saying that the prequels aren't as bad as they seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
Prequels never seem to be bad. The prequels were always good.
In comparison to the original trilogy, though.
It's weird because what came out recently was the Last Jedi documentary, which you should watch, and you should watch as well, because it shows you, obviously, the behind the scenes of The Last Jedi, and it shows you almost how clueless the likes of Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy are, and basically all of the basically everyone that worked on that movie, how clueless they all were.
I mean, we've already talked about Kathleen Kennedy's cluelessness to Star Wars universe.
Yeah. But it's like, one of the things that Rian Johnson came out and said that if The Empire Strikes Back came out these days, everyone would react the same way as they did with Last Jedi, because when it came out in 1980, it was divisive as well. And do you want me to tell you how true that is? With some stats and some...
The movie that had one of the biggest cinematic, oh my god moments ever.
Plot twist.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
But I just like to call it the oh my god moment. Was divisive.
Not only did it win a People's Choice Award in a year that was stacked with brilliant movies, right? It was re-released in 1981 and 1982 and had the box office of the year each time it came out. And it was like, somehow that movie was divisive. And it's like, of course it wasn't. And then it was like, can you imagine how people would have reacted if they'd seen Vader kicking Luke's backside like he did? It was like, that in itself shows people how little that man knows about Star Wars. And it's like, that's the entire point of that movie.
We just need, I don't know what his name is, we just need the guy.
Dave Filoni. Yeah, save us, Dave Filoni, you're our only hope.
Is he the guy that did Rogue One?
No.
I was going to say we just need the guy that directed Rogue One to do it, because he was so obviously a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
All the little references, it wasn't so much to the point where it took away from the movie, but it was enough to kind of go,
Yeah.
I got what he did there.
The thing with... The reason I said Dave Filoni is because Dave Filoni did Clone Wars, which has been a brilliant success. He did Rebels, which has been a success. And he's also done The Mandalorian, which is obviously a massive success. And oh my god, isn't The Mandalorian brilliant? I love The Mandalorian! I love you, Dave Filoni.
Also Jon Favreau. Seriously.
And Jon Favreau, you beautiful man as well. Love you. And that's the sad thing about what the Star Wars universe has become, is that the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, and J.J. Abrams, and the writers who also did those movies, tried to kill like 90% of the legends of Star Wars. And here's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau basically going, okay, so we're just gonna pretend that we're not doing the Legends, but we actually are doing the Legends.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep doing the extended lore because that's what Star Wars fans actually want. And wouldn't it be great if we actually gave the people who pay us to do these things what they want? And it's like, but then you get Kathleen Kennedy who goes, no, we're not going to give them what they want. We're going to give them what I want. Because what I want is more important.
No, because she's not like that. She's like, what do you mean what the people want? Because there is no extended lore and there are no books and there are no comics. So the people don't want anything.
What a moronic woman. I mean, I'm sure she's probably very nice, but... And do you know what else she said? Oh, do you know what else she said? She said some really stupid things, right? She said that it was something... She came out on something that was like, female characters are brilliant in Star Wars, where they weren't before. So the likes of Rey and what's Kelly Marie Tran's character called? Rose, whatever. Those two are brilliant characters for women. They're women's characters. But all the women characters that came before weren't very good. I'm sure Carrie Fisher is turning in her grave. Because you had Leia, fair enough, Padme wasn't very good, but...
Padme wasn't very good with the writing.
In the third movie. She wasn't very good in the third movie. She was alright in the first and second movie. Who else was it? What was the other good female character? Mon Mothma. That one was a joke. Mon Mothma wasn't that very good. But yeah, got so many good female characters in Star Wars, and it's like you come out and you say these things, and it's like, what are you talking about? Just go and have a look at the Clone Wars. You've got mid-female characters in the Clone Wars.
I don't. Why is she in charge if she doesn't know anything?
She's a yes woman. Like, she just likes to say yes. And it's just... And even then, was Rey and Kelly Marie Tran's character brilliant female characters?
They had the potential. Rey definitely had
Rey
the potential.
Kelly Marie Tran's character
I don't understand what her purpose was. It seemed like in the second movie, she was going to do something. And then in the third movie, J.J. Abrams was just like, oh...
Yeah, let's forget about her.
She's kind of just there, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's kind of just off to the side.
Yeah, like, it was just... I don't get it, man. And then everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, thank God that they've brought in a fantastic female character that's never been done before, Ahsoka Tano. What the hell are you talking about? People who say that she's only just come into The Mandalorian, that's the first thing that she's been in, are just ridiculous. Of course it's not.
It's like, because some people don't like to say that the animated series are a part of the universe. I've noticed that's become a thing since she's made her appearance in The Mandalorian. People are like, well, the animated series aren't a part of
because
this
they're for kids, apparently.
I think though. I don't know.
No.
I mean, you enjoy watching them. You're 24.
I love them. Absolutely love them. I went back and watched them once. I watched them all through once, and now I'm going back through them again, and then I'm going to go back through and watch Rebels as well.
Because I think the Star Wars fans are very divided, because you have the kind of the more I would say the more casual fans that have seen the movies but aren't like kind of die-hard Star Wars fans, and then you have the Star Wars fans that are just like, shut up you idiots, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I would say there's that, because that's the same with every fan base, is that you get the casuals and the hardcores. But I would say the hardcores are now split into a good 3 or 4 sects now, where you've got like the gatekeepers who are like, you can't say anything without offending them. You've got...
and they're always like, actually, in this... Yeah.
Then you've got the Last Jedi fans who... I think they are dwindling. We've almost destroyed them. But there's... they're still clinging on to the idea that The Last Jedi is a good film. And again, films are objective, so... You know, whether you like it or not. But there are movies out there that people can go, definitively, that was bad.
Universally, everyone can agree that it wasn't the
Yeah,
best movie.
like Batman and Superman. No.
Batman
and Robin, sorry.
Oh, Batman and Robin.
But it's baffling to me that people, people like to come out and say the Clone Wars don't count because it's an animated show. And it's like, yes, it might be an animated show, but I could just select one episode for you, and you'll probably enjoy it more than you enjoyed the entirety of The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
That one scene you showed us, the spoiler alert, the one where Aiden Christensen does the voice thing, with where what was it? Where Darth Vader comes and he's like, the mask splits. And you hear like Hayden
Rebels.
Christensen.
That's Rebels.
Is that Rebels? Still got that's still an
I don't know if it's Hayden Christensen.
I thought it was. I thought he did the voice.
James Earl Jones done the voice of Darth Vader, but I don't know if
I thought Hayden Christensen came back
he might have done. I don't know.
The Anakin voice when it went Anakin-y.
That's such a good scene. There's so many.
But you get what I mean. That scene in general is a good scene.
That episode, right, is probably Ahsoka Tano's best episode. That's an objective one because she has a lot of brilliant episodes in Clone Wars and Rebels, but that one's a fight, right, where between her and Vader. And spoiler alert, I'm going to explain this to you now because spoiler alert, Ahsoka Tano is Anakin's apprentice in the Clone Wars, and she leaves the Jedi Order, and when Order 66 happens, she essentially hides, she disappears like the rest of the Jedi do.
Yeah.
But then she comes back and she helps kickstart the rebellion. That's what she does. But at some point, Vader comes to fight Ezra and Kanan, who are the two Jedi in Rebels, and then Ahsoka comes and they fight, and it's all. I can't even explain how cool that entire lead up was, because it makes a point of trying to depress you by going, "This is what Anakin used to be." He was one of the best Jedi that's probably the best Jedi that ever lived, and then Darth Vader has the most Darth Vader line ever, right? Which is, he's got a lot of cool lines in all of them, right? But this young lad Ezra, he goes, "I'm not afraid of you," and then Darth Vader goes, "Then you will die braver than most," and it's just like, such a cool line. Isn't Darth Vader just the coolest?
Is what the thing with that scene that's so good is that she didn't know that was Anakin.
She knows at that point.
I didn't think she knew until she heard his voice.
No, she knows at that point. Because they have an interaction where they sense each other before that, and it's kind of like,
oh yeah they do, don't they?
Yeah, and
still though, that's still that whole concept though, the fact she didn't know.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's a lot of people didn't know that was Anakin though, did they?
That's one of the cool concepts that not everyone knows, is that no one knows. Well, some people do. Obi-Wan knows. The Emperor knows.
Yeah. Like the people that were
Ahsoka
like around
knows.
that time, yeah.
But people like Rex, and Rex was his captain, was for the 501st captain. And loads of Jedi and stuff don't know that Darth Vader is Anakin, and it's like, it's so cool.
Well, it's not really until Luke that people start finding out, isn't it? Because he's like, obviously Luke. That's
another thing that's cool about that, is when she does when she sort of jumps on him and slices the bit up, it breaks his voice modulator, so it's actually Anakin talking, not Vader.
That's what I meant. That's Hayden Christensen, isn't it?
I think so. I don't know.
I thought he came back just to do that bit.
But the thing about that is that she says, oh no, it's not that interaction, sorry, the interaction before that, she says, I used to think I knew who you were under that mask, and Darth Vader goes, "Anakin Skywalker was weak, I destroyed him," and Ahsoka goes, "Then I will avenge him," and he goes, "Revenge is not the Jedi way," and she says, "I am no Jedi." And she opens her white lightsaber, and it's so cool. Everything about Star Wars is cool.
That's kind of a concept I wish they did in the sequel trilogy.
I know,
just not the Jedi, not the Sith, but the
grey. The grey, yeah.
With
I was going to do a video explaining that, because a lot of people don't understand what the grey Jedi are.
I would say if they were going to go down because it seemed like they were going down the balance kind of that storyline, I would have said the grey were the balance.
The grey are the balance. It's disputed amongst more Star Wars fans.
Because it's just, I never understood that. She's like, because when she's doing that thing with the Rock, for some reason, she's like the light to the dark or whatever, and then she's like the balance, and it's like, maybe she's gonna be,
what the sequels should have been.
She's gonna be like, she's gonna go to the dark, and then she's gonna realise she's not actually bad, and then she's gonna be the grey, and it's gonna be like this cool, like.
She's already the grey. At that point, she's already the grey.
When she's doing the Rock thing, is she?
Yeah. She's got the white lightsabers.
No, in Last Jedi.
Oh no.
That's what I meant.
I thought you were
Rey. If I didn't explain clearly, I meant Rey should have been.
Yeah, the grey.
The grey.
Or Luke, because he does become a grey in the legend.
Yeah.
As it now is. But the other thing.
That's what I meant.
The other thing in that episode, right? What happens is when she
Look how excited you get.
when she slashes, and I shouldn't even be talking about this because we're doing Star Wars next week. When she slashes it, she sort of and he talks like Anakin. She stops, she freezes, and he goes. She says to him, "I won't leave you this time," and he kind of like, and his eyes sort of stops, and he kind of like,
has she broken through?
Yeah, and then he just goes, "Then you will die," and the red lightsaber comes up, and it's just Star Wars is so cool. People who can't appreciate Star Wars for what it is, it's so cool. Darth Vader is just amazing.
I just hope from The Mandalorian we get some good Star Wars stories.
Well, there already is.
Because
the second season's absolutely. Have you seen the second season yet?
I haven't seen it yet, so don't
Absolutely
say anything.
Fan
Don't say anything.
bloody tastic.
But
The first season was so good in that it was a western, and it was kind of like it was more a western movie than a Star Wars, a western series than a Star Wars series.
There was like no lightsaber fights.
Yeah, the second season just went, okay, Star Wars series. Let's just turn that right up, and then it's just.
It was literally the definition of just give it everything to the fans.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
It's just
I mean,
Dave Filoni. I wish he could just direct this. Just let him direct the sequels, because just let him make his own sequel trilogy, because it would be so great. And it's just, it's so maddening that they let people like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson do it, who clearly don't love Star Wars as much as they pretend to. And then you got Dave Filoni, who, when you see him in videos and stuff, and you see him talking, he's such a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
He just loves it. He done like a 15-minute video where he said, "So the prequels are actual genius," and it's like, he is the chosen. He is the chosen one.
Did you see that photo of just a little sidebar of George Lucas holding Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Isn't that just adorable?
isn't it amazing?
And his name's Grogu.
Sorry.
Yeah. Star Wars, man. I just love Star Wars. Star Wars is just the greatest. But we'll leave it there. We've been going on for about an hour.
I love how we went from movies we hate to just Star Wars.
How brilliant. We love Star Wars.
We always do that.
I just love Star Wars.
We say a topic, we get talking about something geeky or nerdy, and it's like, let's go on a tangent and talk about why we love this.
Yeah. My God. Do you know what? This is another thing that I hate, right? As well, because we're going to talk about something quick that I hate. On the topic of Star Wars, and again, I shouldn't be saying this because me, Anthony, and Michael are going to talk about Star Wars next week. Everyone was giving grief to Rosario Dawson for not looking like Ahsoka. They don't think she looks like Ahsoka from the series. She looks ridiculously like her.
She does.
She looks so much like her. And
I love how as well. Just sorry, I went up, but those people that are like, oh my God, her tundras are too short. Are you being serious? Like, seriously? You're gonna bring that up of all things?
But it's like,
and the reason why they're short as well is thing with like it's easier for the actress to fight with, and it's like, God forbid. She had so much pressure to do that because everyone was like, no, don't let her do it. Let the woman who voiced her do it, because then she's gonna sound like her. But my God, she hit out the park. She's so good as Ahsoka. I absolutely love her. Again, I haven't seen her, but from the looks of her, she does look really good.
Honestly, man. So I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a lightsaber fight. You've seen that. There's obviously a lightsaber fight, right?
Yeah. I know there's a lightsaber fight, because I know a lot of...
lightsaber fight is better than the entire sequels.
Because I know a lot of people said she's too violent, apparently, in the series. I've seen that. Some people aren't very happy with how violent she is. But you also have to remember that she's not a Jedi.
Nope.
So she can be more violent and not be a Sith.
So cool. I just love it. I love
the visuals of the white lightsabers, because it's like that. I don't know what, again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But it's like it's her kind of just like staring, and she has the lightsabers like in front of her, and like, oh, she looks so cool.
There's a scene as well where they're all sort of, all the bad guys are just about to start fighting and sort of walking towards her holding blasters, and she's just it's, I can't remember what reference it is, but it's like Osawara or something, where these guys are walking towards him, and it's a samurai film, and this guy's just walking and he just does not care at all, and it's just one man against like 6 of them, and he's just walking, and then he eventually starts fighting them, and that's what that is that she's walking, and she's like, I don't care who you are, I'm Ahsoka goddamn Tano. It's like, I fought Darth Vader, who do you think you are? It's like, and it's just, honestly, if people who watch this haven't seen The Mandalorian, watch The Mandalorian. It's so cool. I love The Mandalorian. I want one of their masks. It's Christmas.
What are you telling me for?
I don't know. You've got money now.
Do you know how expensive those masks are? Jesus, I've only just started work. I don't have that much money.
Right, so we'll leave it there because we've talked about an hour and 5 minutes, and we covered I think like 4 movies that we hate.
Oops.
And the ones that we have spoken about before. So we're not doing that well. But let us know down in the comments movies that you hate, why you hate them. What do you think of The Mandalorian? What do you think of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit? What else did I say? What other movies
I
did
said
say?
Noah.
Noah. Let us know what you think of those movies. And what do you think of the sequel trilogy? Because everyone likes to talk about the sequel trilogy. And don't be one of these people who try to trigger me by saying The Last Jedi was good. I'm talking about you, Lewis, and Anthony.
Does he think The Last Jedi is good?
Anthony does. They once said to me, right, and they're going to watch this.
Just get rid of them. Just get new friends.
I'm going to say this on the record so they can all see it. Right, there was once a time where they said my opinion didn't count because I didn't like The Last Jedi.
Just get new friends.
I don't know what their opinions are, but I'm pretty sure Anthony is still one of those people in that fan base who we haven't murdered yet.
Is it?
Where he's clinging on to the idea that The Last Jedi is good.
Is it one of those opinions where it's like that shot where it's like you see the ship looks really good? Kind of that's the reason why it's a good movie because
Watch.
the visuals.
Watch it.
At the beginning, like the big.
Oh, might be. I don't know. No, they just.
Is he one of those people that like because it looks good, therefore it's a good movie?
I think they're being stubborn. We should stop this. We're insulting our subscribers.
I don't really care. If it's our opinion, you're entitled to yours, even if it's wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, so don't be one of those people. Let us know down in the comments all the stuff that we've already said. Like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, tell them to subscribe, and watch the video again because the views is good, and then like again, and then tell some more of your friends.
More than once?
No. And then tell your friends to watch as well again, and tell them to subscribe again because we want subscribers.
In that order.
Because that way we'll have 4 or 5 views just off one person. Smart. Anything you want to say?
Last Jedi was a terrible movie.
Thanks for watching.
Let's just trigger half the Star Wars fan base, why don't we?
I think we already have.
I need to know.